All right, today we're going to embark on a really special kind of inner journey. We'll be guided by the incredible words and visions of the psychologist Carl Jung as we explore one of his most powerful ideas, individuation.
So let's just start with this question right here. Because for Jung, the real search for meaning, for our ultimate purpose, well, it doesn't begin by looking outward at the world. It begins by turning inward to the amazing universe we carry inside ourselves.
And this inner quest, it rarely begins when life is all sunshine and roses. For a lot of people, and definitely for Jung himself, it kicks off with a crisis. That moment when you feel like your life is being torn between two completely opposite forces.
And you gotta understand, this wasn't just some abstract theory for him. It was a deeply personal, painful struggle. He felt this profound split right down the middle of his own personality, a conflict that became almost impossible to bear.
He actually called these two sides number 1 and number 2. See, number 1 was his practical, scientific self, the guy the world saw every day. But number 2, that was his connection to history, to intuition, to this rich, imaginative inner world. And these two sides, they were at war.
And then a dream gave him a massive clue. He saw himself walking in the dark, holding just a tiny candle. But behind him was this huge, menacing figure. And in that moment he realized that figure was his own shadow, cast by the very light he was holding. His rational self was creating the shadow of his neglected self. He couldn't outrun it. He had to turn around and face it.
So Jung's answer to this intense inner war, his map for navigating this inner world, is a lifelong process he named individuation. So what is it really? Well, to put it simply, it's the journey of becoming an individual. Get it? Undivided? It's the whole process of bringing your conscious mind, the part of you that you know, into a living, breathing relationship with your unconscious, that vast, unknown territory inside.
This quote right here is the core of it all. See, the goal isn't to be perfect, it's to be whole. And when our conscious and unconscious minds finally learn to work together, to complement each other, the result is this sense of calm, creativity, and just deep, genuine happiness.
And here's where we see a really important distinction. Society is often pushing us to be outside of ourselves, right? To conform, to imitate. Individuation is the total opposite. It's the journey of being in ourselves, of becoming authentically, truly real. Okay, so what does this journey actually look like? Well, Jung kind of mapped out these key encounters we all face when we go down into our own psyche. Think of them like stages in some epic quest.
The journey really unfolds in 3 main stages. First, we have to confront our own darkness, the shadow. Then, we meet our inner opposite, what's called the Anima or Animus. And finally, all of this leads to discovering the organizing center of it all, the self.
Now, this first step is usually the hardest. It means looking at all the parts of ourselves we'd much rather ignore. Our flaws, our shame, the things we hide even from ourselves. This is where our self-sabotage comes from, our deepest insecurities. But, and this is key, Jung insisted this shadow isn't just bad stuff. It also holds our raw energy, our instincts, and just immense creative power.
This quote from his private explorations, wow, it just reveals the true challenge, doesn't it? To go up, you first have to go down. You have to be willing to look into your own personal night and hell without blinking, because that is exactly where the path begins.
So after the shadow, you have an encounter with what Jung called the Anima for a man or the Animus for a woman. This is basically the inner personification of your opposite nature. It's the bridge to the deepest parts of your unconscious mind, and it holds all the qualities you haven't yet brought into your conscious personality.
And this is a major turning point. For Jung, this encounter actually came as a direct conversation with his soul, who he named Salome. And it was a call to a deeper kind of work, a sign that the real transformation was just about to begin. It's that moment you start to truly listen to your inner world.
So where is all of this actually heading? What's the point? Well, it leads to the ultimate destination of this journey, which completely redefines success, not as perfection, but as something way more profound, wholeness.
This is so important. This is not some self-improvement project to get rid of your flaws. It's a process of integration. It's about learning to hold the tension of the opposites inside you, your light and your dark, your good and your evil, and becoming big enough to contain it all.
This quote right here gets to the very heart of it. True wholeness isn't found by playing it safe down the middle.
It's found by embracing the full, terrifying, beautiful spectrum of life, both the cheerful play and the cold horror.
And that final destination, the center that holds all these opposites together, is what Jung called the self. Now, this isn't your ego. It's something so much bigger. The self is the totality of who you are, conscious and unconscious combined. And discovering it is the ultimate goal of the entire journey.
So how do we even begin to visualize this kind of wholeness? Well, the self often appears in our dreams and our art as a mandala. This circular, symmetrical image is a universal symbol of unity, of the cosmos, and of the beautiful integration of your personal self with the timeless, universal patterns of all humanity.
Now, I know all of this might sound a little ancient and mystical, but Jung's work on individuation is, believe it or not, more relevant today than it has ever been. In a world that's so full of noise, it's about finding your way back to who you truly are.
I mean, think about it. In a world that is constantly screaming for our attention, turning inward is a radical act of courage. This whole journey is the real path to authenticity in an age of imitation. It teaches us that meaning isn't something you find out there, it's something you uncover from within.
Jung leaves us with this incredible idea to ponder. To become individuated is to be able to stand right in the middle of a crowd, fully connected to everyone, yet also be fully and unshakably yourself. Solitude in multitude. That's the goal.
Because here's the thing, whether you realize it or not, your journey has already begun. Every dream you have, every conflict you face, every deep longing, that's a call from within. The only question left is, are you listening? And where will you look first?